Hey y'all, what's up? Jared Hoffman here with another edition of the Better Than Less Than podcast. Appreciate everyone who is joining me or who will be joining me soon. If you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. Please wait, hold on. I missed a week because of Thanksgiving, so I'm off on my intro. I usually got these down packed, but hold on, let me start over. All right, if you can, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. That's clear. I know that part. Please subscribe to become a level 1 or 2 member. There you go. That's the part I was missing. All right. So follow us on all of our social media platforms. We on Twitter, we on Instagram, we on Facebook. Search up HBCU Sports and you find us there. And you can always go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news in HBCU sports. All right. So the last time we did the Better Than Less Than podcast, we had 5 teams in the Division II playoffs. I think I missed recapping all of the games that happened from the first week of the Division II playoffs. So long story short, we only got one team now. Both Albany State and Benedict advanced past the first round. Benedict doing so in as dramatic a fashion you possibly could on a 90-yard hook and ladder against Wingate, overcoming a 24-0 deficit to beat them 25-24. And Albany State took down the almighty Valdosta State. It looked kind of it was a hard fought win. They gave up a touchdown on the opening kickoff of the second half, and that one to go down 30-21, and scored 2 unanswered touchdowns in the second half to take down Valdosta State, and that set up a clash between Albany State and Benedict in the second round, which was the first time 2 HBCUs have ever passed the first round faced each other in the Division II playoffs. And it's the first time 2 HBCUs have faced each other in the playoffs since, I believe, 1993, when Hampton and Albany State played against each other. And in that game, well, I don't know why I don't have it pulled up yet. I see. This is why you need better production companies. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, that's on me. But let me get into these comments. What's up, Emmett Jones? I see you in the chat. Asked, what does Albany State have to do to beat Newberry? You jump in a step. We'll get to that in a second. My guy Zach McKinnell in the chat been wondering this all week. How good of a shot does Albany State really have to win it all? We'll get into that as well. And shout out to Southbound DW4GY. All right, so let's get into this Albany State Benedict second round matchup. It was a hard fought game. So to set it up before we pull it up. This is the third time this season that these 2 teams faced each other. In the first game, it wasn't even close. Albany State won 31-3. That was the return of Isaiah Knowles, who missed 3 games prior to, 3.5, because he missed the second half against, I believe it was Allen. So the first matchup wasn't even close. 31-3. Albany State just went through Benedict, and that was Benedict's first loss of the season. Spoiler alert, all 3 of Benedict's losses were all against Albany State. So, yeah, so the first loss was, I believe, week 9 of the regular season. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, they face each other in the SIAC championship game. Benedict wins out and claims the spot over Kentucky State, who, congratulations to them, getting their first Division II playoff berth in school history. But Benedict makes it to the SIAC championship game. They play against Albany State, and it's a much better outing for them. But it still wasn't enough, as Albany State wins 22-16 in a hard-fought game. And then in the trilogy, in the what's the word for it? The I don't know. But yeah, I guess it's the trilogy. I guess that's the word I'm thinking of. In the trilogy, Albany State completes the sweep, winning 14-12. And although Benedict never led in this game, this was a very close outing, and it was a very competitive outing. But it was Albany State who won. And the biggest difference in the game was Benedict not being able to capitalize on good field position. There was about 3 or 4 different times Albany State didn't get a good punt, which gave Benedict a short field. And Benedict only was able to come away trifecta. There you go. My God, Emmett in the chat. Trifecta. That's the word I was looking for. But anyway, so Benedict so many different times that so let's look at the well, let's do it on here. Why am I doing it on here? So you look at Benedict's drives. You got what? One, two, three. Hold on. What? One, two, three, four that start in Albany State territory, and they're only able to get 2 field goals out of it. They're only able to get 2 field goals, and at the end, they're able to get a touchdown when the game is pretty much over. So I think that was the biggest difference in the game. The offense has been the Achilles heel for Benedict all season. Darius Ocean had a good stretch mid-season, you know, of getting this offense right, but in all, they were not able to gain that consistency, and that's what did them in the end. That was going to be the key for Benedict to have a deep run in the playoffs because the defense, there's nothing to talk about. Israel Nkwosha, Isaiah Stevens, Demetrius Patterson, those guys played their butts off, and they held this offense of Albany State in check. But in the end, the offense couldn't come through and deliver. You know, they did good in spots, but it was all for naught because they weren't able to get into the end zone. And you got to get into the end zone against Albany State. They've shown that they can win low scoring games and they can win high scoring games. They can blow you out or they can win close ones. They've shown they can do both. They're a versatile offense. So you really got to put points on the board if you want to beat them. And Benedict, they paid a multitude of sins by settling for field goals, especially when they had a short field. They had a drive that started on Albany State's 20, and that ended in a field goal. That was the difference, So now Albany State is moving on to the regional final. This is, I believe, the 4th time in school history they have reached the regional final of the D2 playoffs, and they're looking for their first ever national semifinal appearance. And they will be going up against Newberry. Now, Newberry is no stranger to HBCUs. I meant to bring it down here, but in 2021, I had to think of the year. 2021, they played against my alma mater, Bowie State, in the regional semifinals, and Bowie came out with the win. I have my ticket stub for the game, but I forgot to bring it down here. But trust me, I was there. So, and I didn't have to pay, but I paid anyway because that was history. The first time in school history my team reached the regional final. But it's not about Bowie and reliving the glory days, and missing Damon Wilson and wishing that he would come back and take over as head coach of Bowie State now that we're looking for a head coach. It's not about that at all. Let me stop playing. But yeah, so Albany State and Newberry. So Newberry, how did they get here? Well, in the first round of the D2 playoffs, they beat Kentucky State 45-24. A very game effort. 45 to, did I say that? 45-24? That's what if I didn't say that, that's what I meant to say. Newberry beat Kentucky State in the first round. And then in the second round, they beat West Florida by the score of, hold on a second, I'm pulling it up, 24-17. So 2 very high-powered offenses. Newberry knows how to put points on the board. Let me get my notes up real quick so I can actually give you a detailed breakdown of how this offense works out. So this is a heavy pass offense led by Reed Sharpia. Apologies if that's not how to pronounce his name, but has over 3,300 passing yards this season, 28 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So that's going to be the key, stopping the pass. Now, Albany State's defense, they have been I know the offense gets a lot of the attention for Albany State, but this defense is as good as you could possibly think of. I just told you about how many times Benedict had a short field and the defense either limited them to a punt or a field goal. So that's how good this defense is. They're going to have to be double good against this uh, Newberry offense that has two receivers that have over 700 yards. Keith, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, and DeAndre Coleman. Two. So they also have two guys with 7 receiving touchdowns. That's Keith and Rico Dorsey. So Albany State has a good collection of defenders in the secondary. They had I forget the name of the young man who had a tremendous performance in the SIAC championship game. It was Tyrell Gainey. Tyrell Gainey is going to be working overtime because Newberry got some receivers in the lineup, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be slinging the ball all game. So that's going to be the key for Albany State. First is stopping the pass, defending the pass. So Albany State has ranked among the top defenses in countries in terms of forcing turnovers. So that will be important for them in this one. Another key for Albany State will be running the ball. This, to put it lightly, this Newberry offense, the defense is not good at stopping the run. Giving up multiple 200-yard games, this season, over 20 plus rushing touchdowns allowed. So Tyant Weish, Algernon Thomas, I forget the name of the other back. 1 second. I want to give him his proper credit. Roderick McCrary, those guys. Algernon Thomas hasn't played in the past couple of games. I wonder what the reason for that is. That's another thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Division II playoff matchup last week against Albany State and Benedict. There was a lot of interesting substituting methods, but by both teams. Benedict had a rolling quarterback system. They played Jensen Jackson and Darius Ocean, and I felt like it was kind of weird the way that they implemented both guys in the offense. It didn't lend toward cohesion within the unit, and it was the same thing for Albany State in terms of the running back room. Tyant Weish didn't start the game. That was Roger McCrary, and Roger McCrary was struggling a bit, in moving the ball, and then Tyant Weish comes in and he has some success, and then they put back in Roger McCrary. I felt like that was kind of interesting. I would love to ask both coaches what their process was in terms of substitutions and implementing each of their guys in the lineup. I think the run game will be key for Albany State if they're able to move the ball and give Isaiah Knowles the lanes needed to make big plays. I think that'll be important in them getting a win in this one. Newberry is not a team that runs the ball at all. They very seldom do they run the ball. So if you allow their run game to get going, the pass game is just going to be twice as more effective. So, and then this Newberry team is good at forcing turnovers, 13 interceptions on the season. They have 5 fumble recoveries. So, and Albany State has been known to put the ball in harm's way. So take care of the ball and stop the pass are going to be the two keys for Albany State. Yes, this game is this will be in Albany State Coliseum. So they will have home field advantage. That will be that could be a deciding factor in this one. Hopefully the Albany State crowd is loud and proud for their school because you're witnessing history. So I hope that all the whole Albany, Georgia community, I hope Albany State alum, the current Albany State students, they know the gravity of the situation. Be in that stadium Have your noisemakers, have your the fans, you know what I'm saying? Like have everything because they're going to need it. The last time a HBCU made it to the national semifinals was Winston-Salem State in 2012, and they made it to the national championship game that year. So understand the gravity of the situation and be there ready to make noise. Now, on to Zach's question. How good of a shot does Albany State really have to win it all? And that's a very interesting question because I feel like it's going to come down to the number one seeds all being in the national semifinal because the remaining teams in the first round, in the Division II playoffs are Kutztown. There's why am I blanking on who else is left? There's Kutztown. There's Lord have mercy, I gotta look it up. But yeah, Kutztown is a team that really rings into my mind because they have just mowed through this. Harding is another team. Kutztown, Harding. What? And if Albany State wins this game, they will have to play Kutztown in the national semifinal. I feel like it. Fair State, yes. Shout out to HBCU Wire. Is that my guy? I feel like I know who that is. But Fair State is a former. I think they won a national championship like 2 years ago or so. Or I think they won 3 of the last 4. Is that the team that's won 3 of the last 4? Yeah, I think so because it's hard. I think Harding won 1 in the midst of that, and then Fair State won 3 of the last 4. Y'all let me know if I'm right about that. But yeah. So I think if Albany State takes care of the ball and the offense does what it does, they have a good shot of getting to the semifinal and potentially getting to the national championship game. Yeah, it's my guy Jamie. What's up, Jamie? Yeah, so to answer your question, I think if on this okay, so if I had to give a percentage of how confident I am in Albany State being able to get to the national championship game or potentially even win it all, okay, let's say this. Advance past this round, I'd probably say I'm 65% confident. To make it to the national championship game, I'm about 30%. To win the national championship, it's below that. I need Albany State to play a clean game. They haven't played a clean game in a while. You know, the last game against Benedict, the last 2 games against Benedict in the SIAC championship game and in the Division II playoffs, they were anything but clean. Valdosta State, that was a nail biter with a lot of back-breaking decisions. You know, the last time they really played a clean game, what you could probably say was the first time they played Benedict. I don't think they played a clean game since then. They struggled against Savannah State. Well, you could say they played a clean game against Fort Valley State. But the last time they played a clean game when it mattered was against Benedict the first time. If they get into that type of play, or like how they played against Kentucky State earlier this season, I think they have a good shot of getting to the national championship game. But it's not going to be. I don't think they get there in a nail biter. If this is a low scoring game, I think that favors Newberry. Well, no. I think that actually a low scoring game actually might favor Albany State. If it's a high scoring game, it's Newberry because that pass offense is just insane. And Albany State's pass offense is great, but they put the ball in harm's way too much for me to really say that they would win in a high scoring affair against Newberry when Newberry is one of the more efficient pass offenses in the country. Like the quarterback, I believe he has like what 30 something touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. 28 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Like, am I gonna trust that, or am I gonna trust Isaiah Knowles, who, as great as he is, and he is great, don't get me wrong, but he's had a propensity of trying to force plays that aren't there. So in a low scoring affair, I feel like Albany State that benefits them because that means that they didn't allow the Newberry pass offense to get going. They forced them to do it in the ground game. I think that favors Albany State. But if that pass offense is going for Newberry and they're doing the air raid thing and they're going up and down the field, I think that I think that favors Newberry. I don't know if Albany State wins a shootout with Newberry. So through all of the rambling, the keys for Albany State is keep it a low scoring affair, keep an eye on the offense. I mean the receivers for Newberry, keep that pass offense in check, and get the run game going. If they are able to do that, I believe they have a great shot of beating Newberry and getting to the national semifinal. All right. So next up, and I believe this will be the last thing that we talk about on this edition because I got a long night ahead of me. but we got to talk about the Harlon Hill Award finalists being announced. And there's a man that I believe that everybody expected to make it into the among the finalists, and he is there. Curtis Allen of Virginia Union, aka the CIAA Player of the Year, and if it were up to me, he'd be the Deacon Jones Trophy winner, but that's another story for another day. He is among the 8 finalists for the award. Other finalists include Judd Novak of Kutztown, Reed Sharpia, who we just talked about for Newberry, Marcus Stokes, who those who don't remember the name Marcus Stokes, he was a guy that got in trouble for saying a unprofound word in a song and was got Albany State in some hot water when they extended him an offer. Turns out it worked out great for Albany State because West Florida and Marcus Stokes are out of the D2 playoffs and Albany State's still in it. But anyway, continuing, we have Jack Strand for Minnesota State. Got Gavin Suckup for Indianapolis. Got Andrew Miller of Harding. And we have Drew Nash of Western Colorado. Now, I've been on record in saying that it would be a monstrosity. It would be, excuse my language, but malarkey if Curtis Allen did not win the Harlon Hill Trophy. Just looking at the numbers tell the whole story. 2,400 rushing yards, 30 touchdowns. That's over 600 yards than the person in second place. And he has 8 more rushing touchdowns than the person in second place. He has just been so dominant this season. Unfortunately, if he doesn't win it, it'll be because it's been a quarterback's award. And there are some guys in this field, some quarterbacks in this field that have put up some great numbers. There are 2 quarterbacks that have 40 plus touchdowns this season. So will he be a victim of this being a quarterback's award? I truly hope not, because he has been too spectacular to allow the quarterback bias to get. Think about this. He has 30 rushing touchdowns. There are quarterbacks who don't even have 30 passing touchdowns. Like, come on. Like, the other running back who is among the finalists in this award, and this is no disrespect to him, but this is just the fact. He has 600 more rushing yards than him, 656 more rushing yards than him, and 7 more rushing touchdowns than him. Let's be adults about this. Let's not. I know this sounds like favoritism because he's an HBCU guy and I root for HBCU guys, but Curtis Allen has been too dominant for him to not get this award. And honestly, if he doesn't win it this year, I don't know when an HBCU guy is going to win it. I don't know when, because we've seen guys put up dominant numbers. Amir Hall in 2017 had 41 passing touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. And he didn't even win it. Curtis Allen and Jada Byers and all the dominant seasons he had, whether it be 2022 or 2024, and he didn't win it. Trenton Cannon in 2017 had an argument to win it. If Curtis Allen doesn't win it this year, I don't see a hope for an HBCU. You got to get it. You have to do something otherworldly, like go undefeated all season and score a touchdown on every touch you get in order for us to get it. If Curtis Allen doesn't get it this year. Not to mention, you look at the past running backs who have won the award. I don't have the numbers in front of me. All of them had less rushing yards and less touchdowns than Curtis Allen does this year. Look, Dr. Alvin Parker and Diego Rowland, what they do to find talent is remarkable. Because it's not just Curtis Allen and it's not just Jada Byers. They have a litany of running backs that they could put in that position to be the starter and they would succeed. They had another running back who was named to the All-CIAA team as a punt returner. That lets you know the kind of talent that they have in that room. Zaire Tart, that's what I meant to say. They have so much talent in that room. And it's them that gets the most out of that talent, that implements that puts the confidence in them to go out there and have the success that they do, and a great offensive line, absolutely. So, but Curtis Allen does have some stiff competition. Like I said, there's a couple of quarterbacks who have 40 plus passing touchdowns this season. One of which had only 7 interceptions. So 40 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions. So, but all in all, he's earned it. He has earned it. This isn't a thing like just give it all here. No, he has the numbers to back it up. Set the CIAA record for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns in a season. He has both of those records. He was within 300 plus yards of setting the Division II record. Exactly. This isn't favoritism. This isn't bias. These are inhuman numbers that he put up this year. I get it. The quarterbacks in this category, 300 plus passing yards per game. Incredible numbers. There's nobody even close to the numbers Curtis Allen put up this year at the running back position. There's no one even close. So if he doesn't win it this year, I don't see an opportunity for another HBCU. You got to win it because you have to do something astronomical. And I don't want to hear anything about, oh, it's because they didn't win. Virginia Union didn't win. Look at the running backs that have won it in the past. None of those teams got past the first round of the D2 playoffs. So it has nothing to do with winning. I don't want to hear that as an excuse because they set the precedent that winning doesn't ultimately matter. And the guy that has the D2 record for rushing yards in the season, he didn't even get the Harlon Hill trophy. They gave it to another running back who had less yards than him. I don't want to see that this year. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let's not do that. Curtis Allen has more than earned the Harlon Hill trophy. Don't cheat him. Please don't. Because then I'm going to be looking at you like, not saying that it's a conspiracy or anything like that, but I'm gonna be looking at you sideways. But Curtis Allen among the 8 finalists for the Harlon Hill Trophy. Looking to see when they say the announcement will be made December 19th. I believe that'll be before the national championship game, the day before the national championship game. So we'll see if Curtis Allen is able to make history and become the first HBCU player to ever win the Harlan Hill Trophy. We've had multiple guys be finalists. The guys that I named, Jada Byers, Trenton Cannon, Mayor Hall, all have been guys who were finalists for the awards, but we have never had a winner. I believe the best finisher we've ever had, I believe Amir was in the top 5 and Jada was in the top 5 in the respective years that they were both finalists. But we have not had a winner, and we'll see if Curtis Allen, this is his year. All right, so that's going to do it for this edition of the Better Than Less Than podcast. Appreciate everybody who watched along and engaged in the chat. I really appreciate you guys. Once again, Albany State against Newberry. That goes down 1 p.m. on Saturday on ESPN Plus. It's unfortunate that this is the exact same time as the SWAC championship game. So if you can have 2 screens up so you can watch the SWAC championship game and watch Albany State go for history and make it to the national semifinal of the Division II playoffs for the first time in school history. Again, that'll be on ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Eastern. But thank you guys for watching along. If you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe to become a level 1, 2, or 3 member to get all the exclusive content from the HBCU Sports team. Follow all of our social platforms. Search up HBCU Sports on all of them. I guarantee we will come up. And you can always go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news in HBCU Sports. Until next time. Lord have mercy. That's a mouthful. But until next time, I'm Jared Hoffman. See you guys.